What's up everyone, my name's Dennis, I'm the creator of Blockstudio and welcome to another video. So today we're going to look at dynamic data and how to load dynamic data into the fields of your blocks. So we have a simple setup here, just a checkbox field with 3 static options, option 1, option 2 and option 3, as you can see here in the preview. And we want to fill this option list with dynamic data from our database. And the way to do that is simply specify the populate key. And we have to pick a type. So let's say we want to populate it with posts from our database. We'll select the type to query here. And since we want posts, we set the query to posts. And there we go. Already loaded 5 posts for us. Now what happens in the background here is that Blockstudio runs a getPost function with the arguments you specify. Well, right now we haven't specified any arguments, but it will run the getPost function and return the data. So now without any arguments, we're gonna receive 5 posts back, but we can also define the arguments here. And if we want more posts, we can set that to 10 and it should return 10 posts, which it does. Other options here are terms and users, but for now, let's just stick with posts. Now, the cool thing is that this configuration here is completely portable. So maybe one day you decide that you don't want to use a checkbox anymore because you want the user to be able to search through all posts maybe. You could just change the type to select here and to mimic the same behavior as with the checkbox, we would also have to turn or set multiple to true and also set fetch to true here. So the user would have 10 posts initially, but then could search for any post in the database and add that to the block, of course. Now let's revert that. Let's just stick with checkbox, the checkbox type, because it will be easier to see what is going on. And remove that fetch key here as well. Now, what if you need to fetch data that is not coming from either your posts, users, or terms? Well, Blockstudio can help with that. And instead of calling a query or a query function, you can just call any function. So let's imagine we want to fetch all the post types available in an install. What we can do is delete this block and change the type to function. And as a function, we specify, or we set this to get post types. And this should already, as you can see, fetch a list of available post types. Now, as you can see, get post types is only returning the names, and this is the default behavior of the function. However, just like with our query function earlier, we can also set arguments here and alter the behavior of the function. Now, for the function type, Blockstudio is calling call user function array in the background. So you will have to specify an array here. And I know that the second argument, I can already see it changed, although I didn't put anything in. But if you put in objects, it will return the object, which it already did, without even specifying anything, which is interesting. I'm pretty sure if you put name in here, or names, yeah, exactly, it will just return the actual name of the post type. But we leave it as object, so it looks nicer. Also, one thing I didn't mention before is that you can change the order of the custom data that populates the option list. So if you want the options to be before, just set the position to before. And you see that our static list here is actually, is at the end now. You can also remove that completely and only rely on custom data or dynamic data fetched from somewhere else. And of course, this stays portable or as portable as before. So you can change this into a radio, and it will now be a list of radio buttons. Now, another method to pull in custom data for your fields is by using a filter. And that filter is called blockstudio/blocks/attributes/populate. And in this filter, you just define your custom data. Here I've called this set custom data. And if we go back to our block.json here, remove this. Actually, let's copy that because I want to reinsert that later. And let's call this type custom and then specify, wait, what do we call that? Custom data, of course. Specify our custom data set here. And you'll see that it will add our custom data alongside the originally specified options. And just as before, you can change the position here to be before, change the type to select. It will all work without any issues. Out of all custom APIs that I developed for Blockstudio, this is probably the one I'm the most fond of, just because it is so flexible. The way you can fetch data from different sources while also being completely free in how you display that data. So for example, we can turn that back to radio or have it as a checkbox again like we had in the start. I think it's just so powerful and gives you a lot of flexibility in how you structure your custom fields for your blocks. Now, let's just revert that back to our post types as before and save this. Now, let's check how the block is looking in the editor. So I've prepared a rendering template here, pretty simple. It just echoes our checkbox field and transforms it into an array, so it's actually visible as text. So if we go into the editor and look for our block, which is called dynamic data, and check some boxes, we'll see that it correctly adds the static values or the values of the static options and the names of the post types, which is our dynamic part of this, correctly in order. Super straightforward video today, but I think it really showcases the power that Blockstudio gives you when you need to fetch dynamic data for your fields and blocks. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Till next time.